A faint signal flickers through the vast emptiness of space. Static crackles, then a voice, weak, trembling, barely clinging to life. They came from the darkness, burning, killing, not a single soul left. A pause. Shuffling. A child's voice, a choked sob, then a scream. Silence follows. The transmission ends. Inside the war room on Earth, a dozen high-ranking officials sit frozen, faces pale. The recording loops. Again and again. No one speaks. The only sound is the quiet grinding of Commander Marcus Steele's teeth. His fists clench, knuckles white. Eden 4, a colony of 80,000 men, women, and children. Farmers, scientists, engineers, not soldiers, not warriors. Gone. The hollow display flickers, showing the culprits Drakthal, a warlike, reptilian species that once ruled a third of the galaxy. Arrogant, ruthless. They had clashed with humanity before, border skirmishes, trade disputes. But this was extermination. The Terran Council members exchange glances. Words are unnecessary. The decision is already made. Admiral Royce leans forward. Confirmation? A tech officer swallows hard. Yes, sir. Long-range scans detect no life signs on Eden 4. The silence deepens. Commander Steele finally speaks, voice cold as the void. Casualties? Total loss, sir. No survivors. A single breath. Deep, controlled. The kind taken before a killing blow. Admiral Royce exhales. Then we retaliate. A murmur spreads through the room, but Steele's voice cuts through it like a blade. Not retaliate. Eradicate. No one argues. The Drakthal crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. There will be no negotiations. No ceasefires. No warnings. Just war. Across the fleet, the mobilization begins. Warships power up, thrusters glowing like newborn stars. Thousands of soldiers prepare, armor gleaming, weapons primed. Engineers load ordnance, hypervelocity rounds, plasma lances, seismic torpedoes. Humanity's war machine stirs. In the corridors of the TSS Revenant, Steele walks with measured steps, his command officers falling in beside him. Captain Ivers at his left, Colonel Rain at his right. Our first target? Ivers asks. Steele doesn't hesitate. Zynar 3, a key supply hub for their war effort. We take it first. Hard. Fast. No survivors. Ivers nods. Fleet strength. Everything we have. They board the command deck. The bridge crew stands at attention. The hollow display shows the fleet, 100 warships, from nimble corvettes to titanic dreadnoughts. Colonel Rain studies the layout. No diplomacy? Steele's expression doesn't change. Was there diplomacy on Eden 4? No further questions. The countdown begins. The ships align, engines roaring. The largest fleet humanity has ever assembled vanishes into the abyss of space, bound for vengeance. The Drakthal do not expect a response so soon. They assume humanity will mourn, lament, debate. They are wrong. Within 48 hours, the first shockwave of hellfire descends upon Zynar 3. Humanity has arrived. The skies above Zynar 3 ignite as the first wave of human warships drop from FTL. Drakthal defenses scramble, alarms blaring. But there is no time. Humanity does not send warnings. Humanity does not negotiate. The Iron Rain protocol begins. Orbital bombardment slams into the planet's surface. Kinetic rods, tungsten spears traveling at near-light speed, obliterate entire cities in seconds. Shockwaves ripple across the land, flattening fortresses before the Drakthal even reach their weapons. Plasma bursts follow, reducing strongholds to molten slag. The Drakthal ground forces rally, clawing for a defense. It is futile. Drop pods scream through the atmosphere, slamming into the charred earth. The hatches burst open, Terran Marines emerge, weapons raised, visors glowing in the smoke-filled darkness. They move with precision, no wasted motion, no hesitation. The Drakthal charge, massive, brutal, armed with centuries of war experience. It does not matter. Humanity has evolved past them. Gunfire tears through the first wave. High-frequency rounds slice through armor. The Drakthal roar, swinging crude blades, but the Marines are already gone, shifting, adapting, overwhelming. For every human that falls, 10 Drakthal die screaming. Commander Steele watches from orbit, arms crossed. Status: Captain Ivor's voice is calm. 70% of Xynar 3's defenses neutralized. Resistance collapsing. Losses: minimal. Steele exhales. Continue. On the ground, the slaughter does not stop. The Drakthal attempt to regroup in underground bunkers. Seismic charges burrow deep, detonating in fiery eruptions. Those who flee into the forest find drones waiting, silent, relentless. In the final hours, the last Drakthal commander stands outside his shattered fortress, breathing heavily, blood dripping from his wounds. He watches as the human fleet looms above, blotting out the sky. His second-in-command stumbles forward, fear in his voice. We should surrender. The commander looks at him with hollow eyes. They are not here for prisoners. Above, the order is given. A single dreadnought fires. A pulse of energy descends, carving through the fortress, turning it into a crater. The last stronghold of Xynar 3 is gone. The planet falls silent. The fleet regroups. The Marines board their ships, armor stained with alien blood. In the war room, Steele surveys the aftermath. Next target? Colonel Rain brings up the data. Drakthal Prime. A ripple of silence moves through the officers. Drakthal Prime. The enemy's homeworld. Their empire's beating heart. Captain Ivor speaks first. We go straight for their throat. Steele nods. No half measures. A transmission arrives from the Galactic Order. Diplomatic chatter. Calls for restraint. Steele deletes it without listening. This doesn't stop until they do. Engines hum. Weapons charge. Humanity moves forward. Drakthal Prime looms ahead, its surface covered in fortress cities, war factories, and towering spires of steel. The heart of an empire that had never known fear. Until now, the Terran fleet arrives in full force. Hundreds of warships, dreadnoughts the size of mountains, carriers brimming with fighters. The final hammer of humanity's vengeance. The Drakthal deploy their fleet, a vast armada, desperate, cornered. Their warships are ancient, powerful, weapons charged with the energy of 1,000 conquered worlds. They expect a battle. They do not understand. This is not a battle. This is an execution. The first Terran salvo rips through their front lines. Railguns fire at near light speed, tearing through hulls like paper. Fighters weave between enemy cruisers, launching EMP torpedoes that leave them adrift and helpless. Drakthal ships attempt to retreat. There is no escape. Terran interdictors cut off FTL routes, leaving them stranded. Fire rains from above. Explosions ripple through the void. The Drakthal fleet dies ship by ship, gutted, broken, left adrift as lifeless wreckage. The ground assault begins. Dropships descend in coordinated waves, crashing into enemy strongholds. The Nemesis Corps, humanity's elite shock troopers, lead the charge. Silent, efficient, unstoppable. The Drakthal fight with desperation, but they are not facing warriors. They are facing extinction. Orbital bombardment follows. Targeted strikes. Precision devastation. War factories collapse. Supply lines shatter. Bunkers disintegrate under seismic warheads. The Drakthal Chancellor, once ruler of 1,000 worlds, watches from his citadel. His advisors plead for surrender. He knows it is too late. A final, desperate transmission is sent across the galaxy. A plea to the Galactic Order. Humanity will end us. Help us. The only response is silence. The last stronghold of the Drakthal burns. Streets run red with the blood of their warriors. Cities crumble under the weight of humanity's wrath. In orbit, Commander Steele gives the final order. The Nemesis Protocol is deployed, a biological weapon engineered for one purpose: to erase the Drakthal from existence. Within hours, the planet's surface is silent. No movement, no survivors. Drakthal Prime is dead. The war is over, but the message is just beginning. The embers of Drakthal Prime still glow, its once mighty cities reduced to molten ruin. Across the galaxy, silence reigns. The war is over, but its echoes remain. Humanity does not celebrate. There are no parades, no speeches of triumph. This was never about victory. This was about vengeance. The fleet returns to Earth, its warriors unchanged, their faces unreadable. They have done what was necessary, what no one else would. The Galactic Order, once hesitant, now watches with wary eyes. Their councils convene in hushed meetings, whispering of humanity's wrath, of the species that does not forgive. Ambassadors reach out. They speak of peace, of cooperation. They speak of balance. Humanity does not respond. The colonies rebuild. The soldiers return home. But something has shifted in the fabric of the stars. The message is clear. A new law has been written, not in treaties or decrees, but in the ruins of a fallen empire. You do not harm humanity and live. There is no mercy. There is no negotiation. There is only consequence. For years, the galaxy is quiet. The shadows of war recede. But the legend remains, whispered in the halls of power, feared in the depths of space. And when the next empire rises, when the next warlord considers testing the strength of humanity, they will pause. They will remember Drakthal Prime, and they will choose silence.